Hi, and welcome to this little chat with me, Tormod. Um, Yesterday I posted a video about the collapse of psychiatry in Norway. How I say that the Norwegian and the world, basically, psychiatry institutions with their structure is and has been for a long time standing in collapse, in not in service of life, basically. They've not been standing in the service of life, and these structures, these institutions, are not giving. Are not, what shall I say? They're not sustainable. They're not sustainable. With their monoculture belief in chemical pharmacy as the only solution they offer, um, this varies from place to place, but what we see in Norway is that people are not able to enter hospitals, but they are closing down the beds and they're closing down the hospitals more or less, and people are suffering basically because there are no alternatives. As they can see, there are alternatives to psychiatry, to hospitals. There are. You only have to find it. This goes also for Little Norway. I mean, things like Camp Hill villages is a solution to psychiatry. Can be a solution to psychiatry, very much. Like for me, my example, walking with schizophrenia, where I was, you know, I was treated very gentle within psychiatry. I didn't have very many people breaking rules on my head, basically, but very many of my friends were abused in psychiatry to a very far degree. And some of them died, and I see, we have seen all the endless blogs, books, documentaries, stories about how sick the psychiatry system is. So, and the root of psychiatry as it is today, with their PhDs and the doctors and the chemical therapy, the root of it, the history of it, is totally rotten to the core. So it doesn't really matter what they do today. They can't do much because the fundament of the psychiatry is rotten to the core, is beyond rotten. This is evident in one thing more than other things. And this is one thing that people tend to suppress and deny within themselves. This is the one particular most important thing in our world systems that people tend to suppress and deny and don't want to face. And that is money. And how doctors have a very much income, and the ordinary patient have a tiny fraction of that income. A doctor who makes $200,000 or $300,000 a year, any being with ADHD or PTSD or schizophrenia or bipolar would also need equally $200,000-$300,000 a year. Of course. It's the value we give. It's the opportunity we give to people from their income. And so society has basically, and psychiatry and society has fucked up with that share, giving a few of us the option of living while the rest of us are more or less dying, Money gives opportunity and possibilities in life. When there is scarcity and little money, what does that mean? That means that there are lesser chances, lesser opportunities for self in life. While life is equal for all beings on earth, also plants and animals and everything, environment, forests, rivers, mountains, this earth in itself, so that those high wages, we should all be given high wages. We should all be given equally high wages. In theory, it's no problem. There's no problem in theory to give everybody the same wage, and I mean everybody, the exact same income. So we have yet to live that heaven from ourselves, because we ourselves are rotten on the inside, basically. And that's why we created psychiatry, on the fundament that was rotten, basically. Coffee with decaffeine, almost no caffeine in my coffee. It gives me a lot less anxiety in my everyday. I do enjoy a cup of coffee, but I keep my caffeine intake to way lesser than before. Now, back to psychiatry. I mean, it is this way with everything in our society today. The world we have known, call it socialism or capitalism, whatever you call it, of polarity. Capitalism, socialism, polarity again. Whatever we call it, most of the things, if not all of the things that we have created, that man have created, democracy, the money system, psychiatry, school, agriculture, healthcare, none of these institutions and households are to the core sustainable. And things that are not sustainable, it goes without saying, it will not last. It will crumble down. And most of it already is in pieces. And what we need today is to rise up from those ashes, like the phoenix bird or whatever we see, or inner power animal to be, or inner being, who we are as the inner flame that burns in here, and realize that and live that and give as we want to receive and love our neighbor and so on. So psychiatry is one of the many systems that does not serve life. Psychiatry serves greed, and so does school, and so does agriculture, and so does the money system, for instance. I mean, it's all bullshit, There's no equality. There is one particular area in our worldly society where there should be the perfect equality. And that is with money, income. Now, what we wear of clothes, or what we drive of car, or what sort of house we live in, or whatever occupation we might find ourselves in, that might vary. That is up to the self to decide. For what is best for all, of course, with care and consideration of life, of nature, of life. But the income needs to be the same. We all have equal value. We all deserve the same chance for a good life. If we live in Africa, if we live in China, if we live in Europe, whatever, we all deserve the same amount of income to live a good quality life. And with this in mind, with realizing this, living with a world of an equal money system where everybody gets the same. Say, for instance, a month, you get a slump of money, which would be a lot of money. It need to be a lot of money because we want a good life, right? We all want a good life, so we need a lot of money income each month. Now, this would remove so much fear and anxiety from the human existence, collective existence, that is beyond our imagination. It would delete crime, it would delete war, it would delete borders, All these things are possible as the future utopia of our world if we let it, if we create it, when we create it, because it's the only way. Because we know now that all the systems are flawed and that they have no standing. Psychiatry is rotten to the core, along with school system, agriculture system. And with all these systems, school, psychiatry, and agriculture, for instance, there are new movements developing, like or old movements, you could say, or original movements, like with permaculture, like with ecological farming and biodynamic farming, which is farming that is based on nature principles. Okay, which is farming that has a care and a concern for nature and the environment and the soil and plants and animals. Okay, because what we've seen has been the insane exploiting of nature and life, of agriculture. And agriculture has not been sustaining until we as humanity came up with, okay, let's try with some permaculture ideas, let's try with biodynamic ideas, let's try with ecology. And that, my friend, is the future. No matter how we twist and turn it, it is not a good thing at all to poison the soil, to extract more goods from earth. That is rotten business, okay? That is no good business. That is bad business, basically. And the same with psychiatry, where there's been so endless many stories of the abuse that goes on within those walls. In Norway as well. I mean, we are supposed to be in Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, that are like the cool guys, the social democrats. They includes everybody's included, waffles for everyone, love hearts. But our democracy is also founded on the same types of democracy in the Western world. Yes, there were some pioneers back in the days that found out that to give more equal in society, which was good. To give a more fair share of income, of welfare to society, which was good. But it was not enough. It was far from enough. And we've all been living with the sins of the fathers since all days. Since eons of time, since millions of years, we've been living with the sins of the fathers that inherit. They did it, so it must be right today also. They did it back then, so this must be the right way. How we send our kids to school because we have been to school, and now they can go to school because I've been to go to school. Ordinary Norwegian school is insane, okay? And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It was insane in the 80s and 90s when I was to school, and it is beyond insane today as well. Ordinary school, public school, is designed on the root, the fundament of ordinary school was for children to learn to obey to the authorities. And if they were they would learn to compete, so that if they should start a fight as a people, it would be amongst themselves and never the authorities. the money handlers and the money system. I will say that one more time. Children went to school and go to school 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 2 days ago. Children learn to school on the basis of two things. The very fundament of school is funded upon when school was started to have children to obey to the authorities. Obey me, obey me, obey me. Which is just bullshit. And to compete amongst themselves. So that if they would start to fight or argue, they would do that with only themselves. Also, schools were started so that moms, the women, the mothers could enter the workforce in order to enrich the richest of us. So that the women, the mothers, could enter the workforce so that the richest among us could become even richer. You know? These things are very evident, and I hope to bring some clarity to you. I really hope I can do that. To bring some perspectives for you. To realize some shit. And I do still mean shit because it is shit. The systems have been shit. And today we need to rise up from that and bring new solutions to the table, like with alternative farming or original farming, permaculture, ecological, biodynamic farming without all the poison, and school without the school, basically. School with no school. Homeschooling. And money system where we give equally for everybody. We can start that money system by giving. Give money to the people. Basic income guarantee, living income guarantee, universal basic income, to give people money. Why shouldn't we all have sufficient of money? It's like we can't handle it? Is that it? Are some people better money handlers than others? Come on! So, the money system has also been rooted as a very key system, the very most important system that more or less surveils everything else, or penetrates everything else, the money system. We need to start changing the money system by giving a basic income guarantee type of program, some similar type of program, basic income guarantee, and give money to people and alleviate stress from their shoulders and their minds and so on, and give money to the people and start to consider an equal money system where we give all equally, everybody the same amount, a heaven on earth, where we can let go of competing. War. Competition is just war. Competition between businesses and nations is war in all theory, in all practicality. And profit is just greed, and it's not cool. Profit, to extract profit from your neighbor, from your colleague, from your friend, from your brother, is not cool. It is wicked, and it is spiteful, and it is greedy. So competition and profit, out you go, and in we have all sorts of solutions, all sorts of qualities, all sorts of good life that we want for our children to experience and the generations to come, to create this life into a quality, good life for all. Because today we're more in the middle of the, starting something new. There's this, there's this zeitgeist, this spirit that wants to, this phoenix bird inside us that wants to start new, start fresh, wants to forgive, and start fresh, and start clean, start over again with new systems, new healthcare system, new psychiatry, new agriculture, new type of how we raise our children. Raising of children is the most important work there is. The most important job there is raising of children. And yet we shuffle them into school system and we pretend that everything is okay, while things are rather insane and not okay. And we know this deep, deep within us. We know this very well. And all the systems that man has created, all these systems and more, we need to redesign them. We don't need to go through massive collapses, massive events going on, and terror and flooding and flames and coronavirus. We don't need to go through all that. If we allow ourselves to change from within self, if we allow ourselves to change into self-forgiveness, to discover our inner phoenix flame that wants to give, to give ourselves, integrity, to stand as an equal and one, representative of life, for equality for all humankind, and a good life for all beings. That is where I want to be. And we're getting there. It's going to take some time, but the amount of suffering, and I mean flooding, and I mean flames, and I mean, the terror, I mean the coronavirus, all these things, okay, can be limited, can be reduced, can be neutralized, if we allow these new systems that I mentioned to come forth, and in particular the money system, in particular, fail me not, brothers and sisters, fail me not, in particular the money system, where we need to imply some basic income guarantee to gradually give more and more and more and more people to every single individual in Canada, in the US, in China, in Pakistan, in India, in Russia, everywhere. We need to start giving the population money, income, to live and to build up an equal money system and create this world into a true sanctuary all over. Sanctuary all over the world. That is where we want to be. So I'm speaking this from the bottom of my heart because this is something that goes beyond me and my persona and goes beyond that. This is some deep, deep purpose and deep, deep calling, you could say. And we all want a good life. And we all want change. We're dying for change, for real change. But we forget the person in the mirror of where it starts. I can recommend a process of self-forgiveness. I can recommend Campbell villages, Soteria houses, and all sorts of treatment for psychiatry, writing and self-forgiveness. A process of writing and self-forgiveness is an immense cure. I can guarantee you, if you give it some time, if you give it some effort to write and speak to self, learn self-forgiveness, you will see something beyond your dreams, what you can be. Okay? I have silenced so much voices and noise and friction and pain in my head that I've gone, stop, peace, quiet ease, because I have walked a process of forgiving myself, of standing as one example that the change is possible. Self-forgiveness is the key. Eco-money is our destiny. That is what we want to be. How much trouble we have to go through to get there depends on every you and every me. How we live our lives, how we choose to vote with our money, and so on. I want for you a very good day. Thank you very much.